When you first swing a leg over the Dominar 400, what strikes you is the sheer heft. It feels like a proper machine, substantial, planted, not one of those lightweights that get pushed around in crosswinds. At nearly 193 kilos, some riders might initially hesitate, but the moment you slot into first gear and let the clutch out, that weight melts away. The bike moves forward with the ease of something much lighter, thanks to clever weight distribution and torque delivery that kicks in smoothly from the low end. The exhaust note deserves special mention. It's not just sound, it's presence. The twin-barrel exhaust has a bassy growl at idle, almost like a statement of intent, and as you climb the revs, it sharpens into a raspy roar. On highways, this note is addictive, you find yourself downshifting just to hear it sing. Pillion riders, too, can feel the vibrations tuned into a satisfying thrum rather than a harsh buzz. Bajaj has clearly learned from its earlier Dominar iterations. The first versions were criticized for being too heavy and slightly underpowered compared to competitors. Now, the company has leaned into what makes the Dominar unique. Instead of chasing the pure high-rev character of a KTM Duke 390, Bajaj chose to give riders a more mature, long-distance friendly flavor. The tuning is mellowed in the low mid-range, meaning you don't have to constantly rev it to extract power. That makes city rides more relaxed, but it doesn't compromise the thrill when you twist the throttle hard on open stretches. Out on twisty roads, the Dominar surprises. The chunky forks, wide tires, and long wheelbase should theoretically make it a handful, yet the chassis responds confidently. Lean into corners and the bike follows your line with grace, reminding you that even though this is marketed as a sports tourer, it has the agility to dance when asked. Riders coming from smaller nakeds will appreciate the confidence it inspires, while veterans will enjoy its composure. The comfort factor extends to the pillion as well. Unlike most 400 cubic centimeters bikes that treat the rear seat as an afterthought, the Dominar gives a wide, cushioned perch with well-placed foot pegs and sturdy split grab rails. This means long weekend trips with a passenger don't turn into torture sessions. Small details like this highlight Bajaj's awareness that in India, bikes are often shared experiences, not just solo thrills. Lighting is another standout feature. The all-LED setup isn't just for style, night rides feel safer and more controlled with the white beam cutting through darkness. Highway touring at night becomes far less stressful when you know your beam is powerful enough to light the road well ahead, giving confidence at speed. The updated LCD console deserves a deeper dive. Yes, it's not a flashy TFT like some premium competitors, but it's crisp, legible, and packed with useful info. Speed, RPM, gear position, trip meters, fuel gauge, distance to empty, and alerts from your smartphone via Bluetooth all show up in an easy-to-read layout. It's a good balance of modern features without overcomplicating the experience. For a bike at this price, it's more than adequate, and most riders will appreciate its practicality. On the subject of practicality, let's talk about accessories. Bajaj has wisely bundled in touring-friendly parts that otherwise would have cost riders extra in the aftermarket. The windscreen, for instance, reduces fatigue on longer rides by deflecting wind blast at highway speeds. The engine bashplate offers reassurance when the road turns unpredictable. The rear luggage carrier makes strapping bags easy, and even the knuckle guards double as crash protection for the levers. This ready-to-tour setup is something many manufacturers ignore, but here it's part of the package, boosting the bike's value significantly. A frequent question in the community is how the Dominar 400 stacks up against Royal Enfield's Classic 350 or Himalayan, or even the KTM Duke 390. And the answer is, it carves out its own niche. If you want heritage, thump, and a slower-paced charm, Royal Enfield will appeal. If you want raw, sharp performance with a track bias, the KTM will thrill. But if you're after a balanced machine fast enough to excite, stable enough to tour, modern enough to flaunt, and affordable enough to justify, then the Dominar 400 hits the sweet spot. Longevity is another talking point. Bajaj engines have matured significantly in refinement and durability. Service networks across India are widespread, making maintenance straightforward. Consumables like brake pads, chains, and tires are readily available and relatively inexpensive compared to premium European rivals. This makes ownership practical, not just aspirational. Riders often worry about fuel economy in bikes above 300 cubic centimeters. But the Dominar balances this well. Even spirited riders report close to 28 kilometers per liter if they're careful, while highway cruising consistently returns over 30. Paired with that 13-liter tank, you can plan interstate rides with fewer fuel stops. For a touring-oriented machine, this is crucial, and it cements the Dominar's role as a dependable partner on long journeys. Braking performance deserves a closer look too. The 320mm front disc is not just about numbers, it has bite. Combined with the dual-channel ABS, the stopping power feels confidence-inspiring. Grab a handful of brake in an emergency and the system keeps the bike composed. The rear brake, while smaller, is responsive enough for corrections mid-corner or gentle slowing in traffic. Traction control, introduced in this update, is one of those features you don't appreciate until you need it. Ride in the rain, hit an oil patch, or face gravel on the highway, and you realize how reassuring it is to have electronics watching your back. Coupled with the riding modes, the bike feels more premium than its price suggests. That brings us back to the pricing, which is perhaps the Dominar's trump card. At just under 2.4 Indian rupees lakh ex-showroom, it offers features that some bikes priced 50,000 to a lakh higher don't. This affordability doesn't mean compromise, it means accessibility. For many, it's the first taste of big bike feel without the big bike cost. As a long-term companion, the Dominar 400 has already proven itself among early adopters. Countless touring vlogs and ride reports across India show the bike handling Ladakh, Rajasthan deserts, southern coastal roads, and everything in between. The community around this bike is growing, and that's always a sign of a machine that resonates beyond spec sheets. So, when we think of the Dominar 400 in 2025, it's not just another update. It's the culmination of years of refinement, feedback, and iteration. Bajaj has sculpted it into something that blends the practicality Indian riders demand with the aspirational edge that makes you turn back and admire your bike after parking it. It's not perfect, no machine is, but it comes remarkably close to delivering a complete package for its segment. And that's where the magic lies. It's not just about horsepower, or fancy screens, or even just price. It's about how the bike makes you feel. On the Dominar, you feel in control, you feel like you can take on distances, you feel like you're part of something bigger. And at the end of the day, that's what motorcycling is about: freedom, connection, and the thrill of the open road. Ultimately, the Dominar 400 in its 2025 avatar is more than just a motorcycle, it's a statement of intent from Bajaj. It shows that Indian riders no longer have to compromise between affordability and premium features. It's a machine that balances performance, comfort, touring readiness, and modern tech while keeping the ownership cost accessible. Whether you're chasing weekend getaways, daily commutes, or the dream of cross-country exploration, this bike is ready to step up. It gives riders confidence, presence, and pride at every stoplight and every highway stretch, proving that value and aspiration can finally ride together.